right. Welcome into another Mission 1000 pod. Got a great guest today, but I'm Jordan White, and I would like to introduce this guy. He's the name they say is running the fantasy football game. This is JP Earley. What's up, JP?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me on, Jordan. I appreciate it. It's an honor. But
I
obviously, yeah,
appreciate you coming on. You're a busy man. I like that we made time to do this.
of course, absolutely.
So where are you right now?
I'm in Madison, Wisconsin right now, just finishing up my last semester of college right now.
That's right. So you're in college up in Wisconsin. It's got to be cold as hell up there, yeah?
Definitely, yeah. I can't wait to get out of school. I've been living in Wisconsin my whole life, and I've never
Oh, really?
adjusted to the cold. Maybe I'm
Well,
just
how do
not
you
tough enough.
adjust when it's like under zero sometimes? I don't think
Yeah,
humans are supposed to adjust to that.
absolutely not. No, I can't take it. I prefer the warmth.
Yeah. Well, once you declare some freedom, where do you think you're gonna go?
I haven't decided yet. Yeah, I'm looking south, of course. I'm
Yeah.
looking at Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, Colorado, anywhere really. I'm just early in the process right now. It depends on what sort of jobs are out there, and I still have to truly decide what I'm going to go after. So it's
That's
I'm
right.
decided.
Well, I know, hey, two of those states that you listed, Tennessee and Texas, there's no state income tax, FYI.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a pretty big draw, honestly.
A little bit. They make up for it in other areas, to be honest. But yeah, I'm
Oh,
down here in Texas, as you know. You see that?
yep,
Hey, they got knocked out, but I still rep my boys 365. You know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah, there's no shame in still repping the team after they lose. Like I'm a proud fan either way.
You're a proud what? Now are you a Packer homer? I mean, you must be, right?
I am. Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Actually, with the Cowboys, I don't hold too much ill will. Like, they're, of course, like America's been like trained to hate the Cowboys for some reason, which I
Yeah.
don't I don't really subscribe to that. I actually think the Cowboys are a pretty likable team. I think Dak's a really easy guy to root for, and I like the weapons. I'm a big CD Lamb fan, and I
Yeah.
think they've started to do things the right way. Like Micah Parsons, obviously a stud. So like even though they're in the NFC and we have like this long storied rivalry, I it's kind of a one of respect in my mind.
Yeah, for sure. Well, when I was growing up, my the Packers were kind of like my second team. I loved the Packers growing up, and this was because when I was a kid, 1995 was the very last Super Bowl, and really in any decent kind of playoff run the Cowboys had for a hell of a long time, right? So, and I was like 6 or 7 years old when they won the Super Bowl, which I remember, by the way. That's like the last memory I have of them winning anything. I was like 6 or 7. My parents threw a huge Super Bowl party, had a bunch of people over, and I just remember that day because it was so much fun. And then I've never got to experience that again. So, uh, so after that, not long after that, Brett Favre came along, and my favorite receiver for a long time was Antonio Freeman. I don't know if you're old enough to remember all that, but uh, yeah, one time my dad went on a business trip up to Wisconsin, and he brought me back a cheese head. I thought it was the coolest thing I ever had.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. I love those things.
Yeah. So, so you think Aaron Rodgers is? You think he's done? I mean, that it's been a conversation for years, obviously, but what do you think?
Yeah, boy. If I had to put money on it right now, I would bet that Aaron Rodgers retires. And
Oh,
I think he is gonna retire. And I would I would prefer, I mean, come on, man, help us out and get traded and play a year or two. Give us some draft picks or something. But if I had to guess right now, I think he's retired.
you think he's gonna retire? So what was he like? People are talking about him being a prospect for like, possibly Tampa now. People were saying the Bears for a long time. I can't see that happening. You just think he's gonna retire?
I I honestly do. I think there's part of him that's a little crushed after this loss. Um, I think he wants. I think he's a guy that only wants to play for Green Bay forever. Despite what happened the last offseason where there was, he was obviously clearly really upset with the organization and the front office. But I have a really hard time seeing Rodgers play in any other uniform, to be honest with you.
I can't picture it. It's something that you try to imagine, and he's been there his whole career. And I couldn't imagine Brady in another uniform either. But then it just kind of, he crushed it the first year, and it just kind of seemed meant to be. I think Rodgers has quite a bit left in the tank, skill wise, and his arm seems to be fine. So I think retirement would be like a personal choice rather than a, hey, it's really time for my body to retire, like a lot of football players end up doing.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I think he's got plenty left in the tank, and I'd love for the Packers to offer him like a lifetime deal. I always say after Aaron Rodgers, we got to prepare ourselves for the 70s and 80s Packers, where it was just honestly a poverty franchise. So I am one of those guys that's willing to do whatever it takes for Aaron Rodgers. I have no interest in seeing what we have in Jordan Love, to be honest with you. I mean, we've a little bit. That's a little unfair of me, but it's only because of the greatness of Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, this was his first true choke in a playoff game, and that's something I will easily admit. But I'm a believer in Aaron Rodgers until the very end. That's my guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Have you ever encountered him in real life up there in Wisconsin? Are you close to Green Bay or no?
No, unfortunately, I haven't. Well, I'd say I went to a game, so that's the closest I've ever come. Was 2011 that year? They went 15-1. They beat up on the Carson Palmer led Raiders that day. That was fun. But I live in New Richmond, Wisconsin, so I live on the other side of the state. It's right on the border of Minnesota, actually. So I'm
Okay.
pretty familiar with the Minnesota side of things as well. That was kind of my childhood. Was they black out all the other games? I'd have to watch the Vikes.
Yeah. Well, I hear that Minnesota when you speak
Oh, really?
a little bit. I
Nice.
feel
I've
I
never
feel
actually
like
gotten
it's
that.
there. Um, but I don't know the difference between Wisconsin and Minnesota accent. But we've got some family up in Minnesota, so I know what they sound like.
Okay, yeah, I'd say it's about the same.
So you're studying journalism. You're about to graduate with your degree in journalism. What led you down that path, and how'd you end up interested in that field?
Yeah, so I really didn't know what I was gonna do. In middle school and high school, they asked me what I want to do with my life. I'm like, well, I got no idea. I'll follow my passions. Sports journalism was the way I was thinking. And then I was really a big fan of fantasy football growing up, so I paid attention to Matthew Berry, of course, as I was younger, and then as I got a little older, you start to learn more about the rest of the industry. And I'm like, oh man, I think I want to pursue this. So I figured going journal would give a higher floor, you know,
Yeah.
in the fantasy industry. It's not really an industry where you need a lot of credentials right now, but I figured that would give me a nice leg up or something.
Yeah, for sure. So, who got you into fantasy football when you were younger? How young were you?
Yeah, I started in 2008 was the first year I played, so I was 9 years old. It started with my
Okay.
dad, and my brothers, our family league. It was only a 6 team league, so it was talent
Okay.
galore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was instantly hooked. My brother and I, all we do all the time was you know look at our roster, make trades. It was so much fun. It was so much fun for us early on. It was addicting. It's always been a nice thing to share with your family.
That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, I've been playing. I mean, you've been playing longer than me since you were 9 years old. I think I started playing fantasy football seriously. I dabbled in it one year just to try it out in like one of those, probably like it was like an NFL.com free league, because I'd heard about it. Everybody's like, man, you would love fantasy football because that's my favorite sport to watch. I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. And I dabbled in it for like one year just to see what it was all about. And I didn't know anything and I didn't want to actually like compete. And I got into it. And I was like, damn, this is pretty cool. And got into my first serious league, which with a bunch of friends from school a long time ago in 2012, and still in it. So we've been together for 10 years now, same league. I'm in a couple others too, season longs. And yeah, fell in love with it. And it's funny what you were just talking about with your dad. So I got my kids into it now, really my oldest. He started him out at about 12 years old. And the same thing, just like a family and friends league. And we've had that going for 3 or 4 years now, and he actually won it the first year
Oh wow, yeah,
when he
that'll
was
hook him.
12. Oh, he's been hooked ever since. I'm pretty sure he's smarter than me at this point.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, as a kid, you got plenty of time to do your
You got
research.
plenty of time, and you didn't have a smartphone back then, but he's got a phone now. He can just look up stats whenever he wants. He's on it all the time. It's
Oh yeah.
crazy. So that's awesome. So journalism, so fantasy football led to your decision to journalism, since that's kind of the path. So is football your favorite sport, would you say?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, that was my first love growing up. Both playing it and watching it, of course. It was my dad is like only a Packers fan. He doesn't follow the NBA or
Yeah,
NHL or anything. So that was part of it. Just that my whole family loves the Green Bay Packers, of course. So it's
yeah.
such a great thing to share with your family and stuff. So yeah, it was definitely hooked me.
It really is. Yeah, my family, we're all Cowboy fans. Of course, we were born and raised in the Dallas area, just north of Dallas by like 20 minutes. And yeah, live most of my life here, and uh, we're Cowboy homers, man. And we've got so I'm actually right next to the practice facility, the Star, which is in Frisco, Texas, if you've heard of that. If you watched HBO Hard Knocks this last off season, you saw that badass drone footage where they were flying it through the Star. Did you?
Oh yeah, I actually did not watch Hard Knocks this year.
Oh,
So
because it was the Cowboys. I get it.
no, I don't know. I've actually never watched Hard Knocks.
Oh, really? You would like it?
Yeah, yeah, I probably would.
Yeah, I didn't watch the Colts in season one, but of course, I watched the Cowboy one. But I've
Yeah,
always watched them in the past. They're usually like a preseason, like gets you pumped up for the season type of show.
right.
It's a good production by HBO. I recommend it. Not an ad. Um, so fantasy football, are you obviously you grew up playing season long. This is before all the daily broke out, right? Are you into now you write content for daily now, or at least you've gotten into daily fantasy, haven't you?
Hardly. Just honestly, I've barely scratched the surface.
Okay.
I'm actually not the biggest fan of DFS. Well, more like I'm just really bad at it, to be honest with you. I don't have the capital right now in my pockets to
I know
play
that's right.
DFS. Like the easiest way to win a DFS is a volume game. You make
Yeah.
all these different lineups, and I don't really have the cash for that right now. Maybe if I was better at it and invested more into it, I could see some returns, but I'm actually not a big DFS guy.
Not a big DFS guy, so you're a season long guy.
Yeah, season long and
Yeah.
dynasty.
Okay. How many dynasty leagues are you in?
Let's see. I'm downsizing right now, so I'm actually in two only
Yeah, dynasties
at this
they
time.
take a lot of your time, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
explain for everyone who doesn't know what a dynasty league is. Um, here, let me tell you my interpretation. You tell me if I'm right, because I've never done a dynasty league, but from what I understand, obviously when you first get started, you'd probably have a normal draft, but you keep the same team from season to season, and then preseason you do have a draft, but it's just people that nobody owns at the moment, right?
Correct. Yep. Yep. Right. It's sometimes it'll be straight rookie drafts. There's all these different leagues where there'll be some free agents out there. There's different ways to organize, but yeah, pretty much right. Yeah, you have that continual team, and then you draft the new incoming talent. So the rookie scouting is a lot of fun, and then it makes the NFL draft so exciting too, because you look at these
Yeah,
guys through the process. You're like, oh man, if Traylon Burks goes to the Chiefs versus the Eagles, you're like, oh, what a great landing spot, or oh, I'm so depressed. You went to the Eagles.
yeah. I never want the Eagles to get anybody worth a damn. So yeah, that's cool though. That's probably a little intensive for me at this point. I know you have to keep your thumb on things pretty tightly with Dynasty, and I think though the cool part about Dynasty that I would like a lot is you're almost forced to like trade more often than you would in a season long.
Yeah, yeah, you're always trying to continually flip that value. You get a nice, if you think you're at the peak of the value, might be time to trade them. Some guys, I think some people get almost too caught up in that. You know, as soon as they get a positive return on the guy, oh, I gotta sell, and then they're in
Sell
this
high.
right, they're in this perpetual rebuild. It's like, ah, man, just hold your talent, man, and then actually actually win. You know, but no, you're absolutely right. If you make those smart trades on a consistent basis, you know, the easiest, you know, the best players in fantasy are the most active. So that's the best way to add more value to your roster over time.
That's right. Well, we just wrapped up. So today is January 31st when we're filming this. So for everyone that doesn't realize, yesterday was Sunday, January 30th. We had the divisional rounds and AFC. Let's talk about that real quick, man. First of all, we could go all the way back in the playoffs, and it's just shocker after shocker, it seems like. But yesterday, old Joey B took down the Chiefs. What'd you think about that comeback?
Yeah, I mean, I was certainly surprised, much like I think everyone else was. It You knew going in the Bengals were going to need a lot of things to break their way, and then you know it did at halftime. You know, the Chiefs shoot themselves in the foot with that throwing short of the goal line, and they
Yeah,
waste that opportunity. And then Mahomes has a pretty poor second half, throws a pick and throws two picks, one in overtime. But
right.
yeah, I give a lot of credit to that Bengals defensive line. They were getting after him, making him dance around, made him look like Fran Tarkenton out there. Um, but yeah, I give a lot of credit to the Bengals actually for that one. They're a really tough team, and you know I'm happy for Joe Burrow. I'm excited to see what his career holds. I mean, he's got so much potential and he's got great weapons around him. So I'm definitely pulling for the Bengals in this Super Bowl.
I am too. I'm pulling for the Bengals. I love Joe Burrow. I think he's calm. I think he's collected. I think he's a perfect profile for a successful quarterback. Obviously, I mean it's his first full season after that nasty knee injury last year, and he's going to the Super Bowl. I think his supporting cast views him as a leader, which is honestly, you've seen it on a lot of different teams. That's kind of hard to do. It's kind of, especially early on in the career, to establish yourself as the team's leader and everyone else respect that. But it's a young team, and I think that they've done a good job of getting Burrow solidified as the team's leader on offense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Burrow's a leader and he's a winner. You know, when you win a national championship, that's obviously a great sign. Like I don't know, I just have so much confidence in the guy because you know he has so much confidence in himself, the way he carries himself. Like he's you know, you name, you know, there's definitely no more than three quarterbacks you'd rather have in the league right now than Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I agree. Well, so how important is confidence in football and just life in general?
I would say it's extremely important. You know, confidence is key, as they say. But yeah, especially on a football field, if you're out there unsure, you're gonna get blown up. You know, you're gonna get, you know, it's not gonna end well. So I mean, yeah, confidence is key in every area. I don't know. It's one of those things that it's kind of hard to define. You know, it's kind of it can be a bit abstract, but you kind of know it when you see it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a confidence is a matter of something that's developed over time when you're doing something. So early on, as you are, uh, doing something, you may not have confidence because there's when you have unknowns, um, when you don't know what's on the other side of the door. Sometimes that creates a level of fear, and fear is the opposite of confidence when you're trying to portray your attitude to other people. Um, but I think confidence is extremely important in football and in life in general as you're pursuing things. And I've always hated the saying "fake it till you make it" because it's very misleading in my opinion. There's lots of people that say it, and the reason people tell you that is in relation to your confidence. Obviously, if you're not good at something or you haven't done it for a long time, you're not proficient in that activity and you may lack confidence, but it's not necessarily fake it till you make it. It's just understanding that you are going to get to that point to where you know what the hell you're doing. And once you do, you know you're going to be great at it. So I've always hated that saying, but I understand where people are coming from when they say it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree with you. Like Peyton Manning, for example, I've always respected him a lot for the preparation. The more prepared you are, the more confident you should be, knowing that you're prepared for what you're about to do. So,
I think Joe
yeah, I
Burrow said that last night in an interview.
oh, did he?
Yeah, somebody asked him, "How do you say so?" You know, I don't know if they used the word confident or I think they said cool and collected or something like that. And he's like, "Well, when you're prepared, you're just confident."
Yeah, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yep. So, RotoWire. RotoWire is a pretty big time company now in the fantasy football world, and you were working for them for a little while when you first got started in the fantasy content creation business. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I realized they had an office like 15 minutes away from my freshman dorm. I'm like, wow, what a surprise! Like I definitely have to go after this. So yeah, I worked as an intern for a year, and then I was brought on part time. So I was mostly doing
What's up,
breaking
buddy?
news writing.
Come on in here. Oh, here's one of my little guys. Is he? Can you see him?
Yeah, hey, how's it
This
going?
is Ryder. Say hi to JP. Hi. He
Nice to
can't
meet
hear
you,
you
Ryder.
because we're mic'd up, but he said hi. He said nice to meet you. So he's a real football star, not just a fantasy football star.
Really?
Oh.
What position does he play?
He's a wide receiver, right, right. Yeah, he's a speedster.
That's the way to go. Yeah, wide receivers are the best athletes on the field.
He said you're the best athlete on the field. You going to the park? Yeah. All right, bud. I'm gonna eat something first. Okay, love you. Love you. Little man, you get. I won't. I won't ever mind interrupting a little podcast to say hi to him.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so he's not into fantasy football yet. He plays football, and he's just getting into Madden. Him and his friends play Madden now on Xbox. So he's like right there teetering on the line where he's old enough to start getting it. And he's been watching his brother, and he loves doing everything his older brother does. So he'll be playing before too long in the family league.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I mean, that's what I used to do too. Madden growing up. Madden '05 was my first game.
Woo, Madden '05. Let's see who's on the cover of Madden '05. That would have been probably Brady. Did he go to the Super Bowl in '05?
Maybe it was actually Ray Lewis was on the cover of that one. I
Okay.
I think actually I'm not sure. I'm not sure where we were in that timeline.
Yeah, that was Baltimore's strongest defense ever, probably back then.
Yeah, those guys were unreal.
Ray Lewis and T Sizzle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, back to RotoWire. We got interrupted there for a second, but yeah, back to RotoWire. So 5 or 10 minutes from the 15 minutes from the dorm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I started as an intern, and then my sophomore year I went to part-time work where I was doing breaking news writing for college basketball and college football. So that's pretty important for the guys that do sports betting and DFS, the ins and outs. So I did that for a couple years, and that was could be intense work. You got to get those breaking news notes out as fast as possible.
How do you
News
do
breaks.
that? How do you get the news breaks?
Yeah. So what we do is you follow all the reporters on TweetDeck. This basically Twitter, but it's got the continual scroll. So you're looking at the latest tweets. As soon as the
Okay.
reporter tweets it out, you got to grab it. Uh, you know, tell them what the news is, and then you give them a little analysis. If a guy's out, who's in, who's going to benefit. Quick paragraph note on it.
Yeah, I saw a headline, last week or something where it was an NBA game, I believe, and somebody got got announced, got hurt. They may have been a game time decision or something, and it was like 5 minutes before the game where they were announced this dude's not playing, and then I see I'm on the internet, probably like social media or something, where it was like somebody on the DraftKings or one of the sports books um, bet the under on their points scored, and it was just a guaranteed bet. So he bet his life savings on it. The bet, it was too late for the sports book to update. They they said he said, it was like an over under of like 12 and a half points or something on an NBA game. He said, I'm going to bet the under, and the guy bet his life savings. It was like 70 grand, and he double or tripled that.
Oh my.
Probably because of somebody like you who broke that at the right time.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes those things will come out quick right before the game kicks off. And yeah, there's an edge to be had there if you are pretty certain. But I could never bet that much on a sporting event. There's just too much that can go wrong.
That
Like
one was a sure thing, though. The guy wasn't playing, so of course he was going to
oh,
hit
okay,
the under.
gotcha.
Yeah, they
But
said he's out of the game for the day, but he was still on the sports book.
okay, gotcha.
So there was no losing. He
Okay, no
wasn't he
risk, no
wasn't going to
risk.
score a point. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
I mean, I would still
yeah,
probably pee my pants a little just clicking the button, but yeah, I mean, it's a sure thing if you ain't playing, right?
right.
So, how long did you spend with RotoWire?
Yeah, I spent about 3 years there. 3 years up until about this past summer, actually.
Okay.
So yeah, 6 months ago was probably my last day because I moved on to player profiler. I wanted to see a little different opportunity. I wanted to try a little bit different work. I kind of turned into their marketing guy or marketing social media coordinating.
Okay.
So I I got on TikTok earlier that year because I had a friend of mine, Eric Booth, out there who was encouraging me to start, putting some football takes out onto TikTok because he's like, oh yeah, it's a tremendous place for growth. And I was like, I'm one of those, I was a TikTok hater, much like the rest of America probably still is. Dancing. It's got a stigma to it, basically. So
It
I
did
said, all right,
early
I'm just
on.
gonna,
Yeah, I was one of those.
yeah. So was I. It's just one of those the way it goes. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna try it out, and then pretty quickly you realize the growth potential there is on TikTok for you make one video and a million people can see it. Where if you do that on Instagram, there's just no way that's going to happen.
That's right.
Facebook, there's no social media as powerful as TikTok right now. So that was huge. So I'm like, oh, what if I can take this and I'm like, who needs a TikTok account in the fantasy industry? I'm like, oh, player profiler. I'm like, the Podfather. If you're familiar with the Podfather, he's this eccentric, fantasy football mind. He's been doing
Yeah.
it a long time. He's
Yeah.
uh,
What's his name?
Matt Kelly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had started listening to his podcast only about a year before, but I'm like, this guy, he's so entertaining. I'm like, and I also just love the product of Player Profiler. I think it's one of the best resources in fantasy football by far, especially for dynasty players looking at rookie prospects. I think they have a real edge there. So I'm like, I offered it to him. I pitched it to him. I couldn't find his email or anything. So I bought his Patreon and pitched him there. I'm like, I think I can really help you out here and help grow your audience a little bit. And then he surprisingly wrote back. He's like, sure, yeah, I'd love to try it. I'm like, oh, wow. It's like never expected that. So yeah, I'm extremely thankful that he took a shot on me. And so we started a TikTok account. It's out there at Player Profiler on TikTok. Go check him out. So yeah, that's been up and running since last April or so. And that's kind of what I did. I just, helped produce the videos. He'd send me a clip. I'd cut it up, put some special effects in there, and that was my job.
Nice. Nice. It's a helpful skill to have too, especially if you create your own content and you can help other people with theirs. I think you're absolutely right about TikTok. The fastest growing social media there is. I think it's like the number one downloaded app on, iTunes or whatever, um, or on your iPhone app store. Um, I was a TikTok hater too when it first came out because the first person I really saw TikToks from was my wife who downloaded it, was into all the like the funny stuff, but showed me all this stuff, and most of it was like people dancing, and like sometimes there'd be some kind of funny lady she'd be following or whatever. And I'm like, well, this is kind of stupid. I'm like sitting across the room from her. I'm like, this shit's annoying, babe. Like you're literally watching something for like 10 or 15 seconds and you go to the next one. Now I hear another soundbite from across the room. I'm like, all right, either you got to leave the room or I got to leave the room because I can't take this shit anymore. TikTok was annoying. But then I really started questioning myself because I would get on Instagram or Facebook or something like that, and like people would have taken their TikTok videos and put them on there, and I'm like, and there's some people I watch and I respect already that's getting on the TikTok train. And the TikTok content is a little bit different from what they're doing everywhere else. Not to mention it's kind of funnier and it's it's lighter. It's not quite as deep as some of the other social medias, and it's a great place for entertainment. That's what people go there to do, is to be entertained for hopefully not too long, because you can get down those wormholes, which I hate looking up and looking at my watch and like, holy shit, that was 20 minutes I'm not going to get back, but I like some funny videos. So anyway, I downloaded TikTok, and you know, honestly, they've got probably the best algorithm for learning you than any of the other social medias too. So I'm fed content that I like. That's how I found you, by the way,
Oh, nice.
was TikTok. And I'm pretty new to it still, so I'm like, all right, I'm on TikTok. I got to get this guy on my podcast because I like his stuff. I'm like, how do I message this dude on TikTok? And I couldn't figure it out. I still don't even know if you can message people on TikTok or not. Can you?
Yeah, 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 you can.
You can. Okay, so I still haven't figured that out. So what I did is I figured, hey, if this guy's doing fantasy football content, probably got a Twitter, right?
Yeah, of
So I
course.
pop open to pop over to Twitter, and I'm like, all right, and I put your name in. Sure enough, you pop up, and that's where I message you because I knew how to do that. But I still don't know. You'll have to show me how to message people on TikTok because I have no idea.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can show you that.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, tons of good content, and that is the sort of the direction you're headed right now because you're catching some traction. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, it's been nice. I've seen a little growth lately. I'd say most of it has come from just a handful of videos, honestly. It's the ones that really do well. The typically it's the most controversial ones, which can be good or bad. It's bad because it incentivizes you to kind of start thinking like, oh man, I gotta rile these people up, and it can lead you to be a little dishonest in your takes, which I struggled with in the beginning. I'll be honest. Some of my earliest videos, I was compromising my integrity for that, but
Okay.
I'm really trying to not do that anymore.
What were you
It's not
doing?
good.
What were you doing that compromised your integrity, you think?
It'd be like it would basically just be sensationalizing some things. Instead of saying this guy's top 10, he's top 5. If this guy's bad, oh, he's the worst of all time.
Oh, okay.
You know, he's garbage. Yeah, more like stretching things.
Yeah, yeah, just embellishing a little bit. Well, that's okay. No, I think your content is great. So how often are you posting content on your personal TikTok?
Yeah, it can be a little inconsistent. I try to do, I try to do one a day. That doesn't always happen,
Okay.
but um, yeah, you can post honestly as much as you want. Really, you could, as long as you don't do it too often, they'll think you're spamming. But yeah, you can do, between 4 and 6 a day if you want to. But I don't have unlimited time on my hands. Of course, I'm in
That's the
school,
thing,
so
unless you're somebody that can hire a social media manager, which lots of people have, but Yeah, it's very time consuming. I think 4 to 6 a day is a little much. But do you think you're doing one a day?
No, no, not at this time. I'm not doing one a day. I say I
You need to
try
be.
to.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
that's gonna be my only critique because your content's good. And from what I've heard, I listen to a lot of experts in marketing because I'm in business for myself too, and marketing is a huge piece of my business. So understanding how marketing works in relation to social media, consistency is key. So they
absolutely.
say. I think you need to start doing more, JP.
I think you're right. Yeah, kick me into shape here.
Yeah, yeah, and you'll be able to use some of this later on once I cut it and I send it to you. You can use it at your disposal.
Okay, yeah, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for sure, man. So um, let's talk about redraft league real quick. So you're how many of those are you in?
Ooh, this year it got a little bit out of hand this year. I was probably in 6 or 7, and
Woo.
I
Okay.
don't. I try to keep it to 3. Honestly, I just
Yeah,
doing waivers on a weekly basis is such a chore, and I would prefer honestly just to have like my ride or die teams, like because once you start having too many teams, every time a touchdown happens, it's both good and bad for you in one
I
way or another.
know.
So
Yes,
I prefer to keep smaller leagues and just you really got to prioritize. Don't get pulled into those new startups too much. So
yeah. So yeah, you're right about the redrafts and the waivers. Like if you're on 6 or 7 redraft leagues, there goes your Tuesday. If because most of my leagues, their waivers are Tuesday nights, right? So
right,
yeah, your Tuesday is just like, all right, I'm podcasting, I'm listening to people, I'm watching the news, I'm putting in my waivers, I'm putting in my priorities, and there goes Tuesday. But I'm in 2 serious ones and then the family one. So I learned, yeah, several years back. I don't have as much time as I used to either. So keep it limited these days, but uh, that's definitely the most fun I have is being able, and it's the community too, right? Those leagues that you're in, you know people, and you get to talk trash without hurting people's feelings, so that's fun. Uh, you guys have trophies for any of your big leagues?
yeah, yep. The let's see, we call it the Coat League, the class of 2018 fantasy football league. Shout out those guys. Yeah, we have a nice wood trophy for that one. Yeah, it's always nice. The trophy's nice. I don't play for the money. I play for the pride and the trophy.
That's right. I
It,
got to show you mine. Hang on a second. Which, by the way, the winner of 2021, I've not given the trophy to yet, but I do have. Let's see if you can see this.
oh yeah,
See that?
that's gorgeous.
I even put in. I think I kind of broke it too. I got to tighten this screw, but I even had him add a special little note to the 2020. You see that?
See, I can't see it. Can't see that plate specifically.
Okay. Well, it says in parentheses coronavirus year for
Yeah,
2020. I had to add that in so we never forget.
right. Yeah, that was a crazy year with was a lot of
I had a
chaos.
lot more time on my hands in coronavirus year, so that's probably why I took the trophy home. But yeah, man, that's fun. That's the funnest part is winning the trophies. That's the league I've been in for 10 years, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun, man. Honestly, the best part is getting together for the draft at the beginning.
Oh yeah, yeah. Draft day is easily the most fun.
Do you get together in person for any of yours?
We used to back in high school was a lot easier, but now that we're all kind of spread out around around the states and the country, it's a little tougher. So no, this last year, I believe, was our first year doing it all online.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I missed that. So yeah, we had like 3 people not attend this last time, but almost everyone shows up every year, and it's been awesome, man. We're gonna keep it going forever, probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the best when you have the long term leagues. You get the history built up, you get the rivalries going. That's the best.
Yeah. So we're headed into the Super Bowl now. Which is this time of year. About all you can do is DFS if you want to play, unless you're in some of those playoff challenges, which I'm in one, by the way. Um, we've got the Bengals and the Rams in LA. So Rams have had home field advantage the whole time, which they sound loud as hell out there. Even though yesterday San Francisco's not too far, there was a pretty even mix of 49er fans and Ram fans yesterday. To
Oh
be
yeah.
expected. But we've got the Bengals and the Rams. What's your prediction, man? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah. My initial thoughts, I haven't thought about this too long or looked at, put it down on paper or anything, but the matchup that obviously jumps off the paper is the Bengals O line versus the Rams D line in the trenches. You know, games are won and lost in the trenches. I have a hard time believing that the Rams aren't going to dominate on that front,
Hmm.
and I definitely think they'll win that battle. But the Titans sacking Burrow 9 times that game and losing makes me
Yeah.
pause a little bit. But that Ryan Tannehill played extremely poorly, and finally was
Yes.
exposed for the below average player he is.
Yes.
But um, yeah, I don't want to bet against Joe Burrow. This guy's in one full season turned into the don't bet against Tom Brady guy. Don't bet against Joe Burrow. So, uh, but I'm going to. I'm going to. I'm going to. I'm actually going to take the Rams in this one. I think that's going to be such a problem, and the Rams are so much better all around than the Titans were. And
Yeah.
beating the Chiefs, that was extremely surprising, and it might make you think, they're not going to beat the Chiefs just to lose to the Rams in the Super Bowl. Mahomes is obviously a lot better than Stafford. Stafford has to play well. I will say he has to play well. He can't have a. He needs to just, if they don't turn the ball over, they're going to be fine.
Did Akers get hurt yesterday? Because I noticed that they just played Michelle the second half mostly.
Let's see. Let's see. Akers. It appears. I think he returned, but he is.
I
Yeah, he
don't.
is still beat up.
Did he return? I was looking for him, so I noticed after Akers left the game, the running game just went to nothing. I mean, and Sony Michelle had some good games this season when he was the star of the show. But yesterday he looked bad, bro. He looked he did not look good in their running game. Did not look good at all without having Akers burst in there. And I don't know if they still have Daryl Henderson on the roster, getting dressed or not. But uh, if Akers is hurt, I'm not so confident around the running game on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, that's been actually a decent has that's a big thing for the Rams. I don't know. I don't know. I think they could still win it by slinging it. I think that's kind of how they brought it back in the second half. Cup obviously was going crazy, and Odell had a pretty nice game himself.
Yeah,
I think I think they'll be okay on that front. But yeah, I do agree. I like Cam Akers a lot. I think he is a difference maker on the ground.
I do too, and I think that his pass catching ability helps a quarterback like Stafford out when he does get that pressure. Having someone to dump off to, speedster guy that he can toss balls over the line and let him go. I mean, he's been great at that all season. Well, the part of the season he was healthy anyway, which wasn't very long, but we saw that he doesn't get as much targets as I think he should in the receiving game as well as he plays there. But um, I think he's a huge asset to Stafford in the running game, especially if Michelle's going to look like trash.
Yeah. How do you see it playing out? Who do you got?
Okay, so I'm almost going to echo what you said. So I am at this point in the playoffs, and honestly, all season long, it's real hard to bet against Joe Burrow. He's been playing out of his mind. Um, you just don't have that type of calmness, and even veteran quarterbacks that allow you to even come back against a team like the Chiefs, and prove to the world that you're worthy of being there, even though most of that was the Chiefs just blowing it. But um, unlike yesterday or this last Sunday where the Rams played the 49ers, this time on Super Bowl Sunday, they will have a true home field advantage. Um, you know, if you've seen Super Bowl ticket prices, you're not going to have your average Bengal fans just strolling up in there. These things are like 10 grand a pop. So you're going to have maybe some rich folks from Cincinnati coming, but everybody else is going to be from LA. And you got the halftime show, right? The big halftime show with Dr. Dre and Snoop. They're from LA. It's going to be loud as hell. You've got Eminem performing at halftime. He's from Detroit, which is where Stafford's been most of the time, so I'm sure he's excited to watch Stafford play. Um, and I think it's just gonna be LA vibing. I think it's gonna be LA vibing. I don't think, yeah, like you mentioned too, the baddest man on the planet in the NFL, Aaron Donald's just gonna rack them up there on the front lines, and we'll see if Burrow can avoid all that mess.
Yeah, yeah, they're gonna have to that play with Piron yesterday, where
Yeah.
I think if they can get some those slip screens going, it's my favorite
Hmm.
play in football.
Hmm.
Kind of use that use that pursuit to your advantage. They're coming after you, but I mean, I'm not sure how many guys the Rams even need to send. I mean, they'll be just fine sending 3 or 4 guys the whole day.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. They're gonna have to really come in with a good scheme. But overall, I don't trust Zach Taylor enough. This guy, you go on Twitter any given Sunday, Bengals fans, everyone hates Zach Taylor because of his play calling.
Yeah, he makes some questionable calls sometimes.
Yeah, the guy just refuses to throw the ball on first down.
Yeah, he's like it's like that meme where it's Peter Parker and he doesn't have his glasses on. It's the one where he's like got the blurred vision, and it's Zach Taylor, and then he puts on the glasses and it's just Jason Garrett.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I
If
you know I
the
predict a good game, but yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's Rams.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what like the spread or anything is, but I don't know. I'd say mid 20s scoring probably. I don't think it'll break into the 30s.
Yeah, I think the Bengals defense, their secondary has been impressive. Against the Rams O line. I mean, if the Rams can run the ball, like I mentioned before, if they can run the ball, yeah, I mean it's wrapped up.
Yeah, yeah. I think I think they'll keep it close. It'll be a one-score game, I believe, but um, I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of what I was thinking with the Chiefs and the Bengals. I thought the Chiefs were gonna win. I thought that the Bengals stood no chance in that game before the game started. I thought they stand no chance. Like I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll keep it close.
I
But
sure,
they proved me wrong by quite a bit, obviously.
yeah. If they win, I'm gonna freak out. It's gonna be awesome. I would
Yeah,
love nothing
definitely.
more.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Definitely pulling for the Bengals though.
Me too. Me too. Well, let's have a little bit of fun, and let's just do a little pretend uh, first round mock draft for next year. Let's just pretend some things real quick. All right. So it's August 2022. Season's about to start. Let's pretend we're in a 10 team PPR league, and let's go down your top 10 players to draft in round one of the season.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah.
And assuming we have normal quarterback scoring, so we're not quarterback heavy, okay?
Gotcha. Gotcha. Full PPR, right?
Full PPR.
All right.
The
Nice.
only way to play, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I've started to lean that way myself as well. I play in one half and one full, but
Half is
and
okay.
yeah, standard is archaic, man.
It's archaic. It's not even that fun anymore.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. So number one, of course, has to be the man himself, Jonathan Taylor, UW alum.
Yeah, I knew. Okay, I knew that was coming one or two.
Yeah, clearly one of the top talents in the league with one of the best O lines. Whatever happens with the quarterback position will only affect him mildly. It won't be substantial to,
What
to
is going
knock
to
him
happen
off.
with the quarterback position there? Is Wentz got to go, right? What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah. If I'm a Colts fan or a member of the Colts front office, they never should have made that trade to begin with. I mean, why would you ever bring in Carson Wentz? But um,
He
yeah, it's
shines. He has moments where he shines, and then he just turns back into Carson Wentz all over again. And
yeah,
they're losing Eberflus too,
right. The Colts have some work to do. Um,
but they got
yeah, I mean,
Jonathan Taylor.
yeah. In
So
this
let's
day and
talk
age,
about that as far as sorry to interrupt you there,
oh, no
but
worries.
as far as number one picks, especially the running back position is so vital. Um, there are so many teams nowadays that are going to these 2 and 3 running back sets, uh, these packages where you got one guy on first down and second down, and you got your designated third down guy, and then you've got your designated pass catching guy, which the Colts kind of had that model for a while, even with Jonathan Taylor, where they would throw the ball to Nyheim Hines. He'd be the primary reception guy, and then you had just a random uh, secondary running back they just throw in there for no reason. Seemed like.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was the big concern with JT this year is, man, they got to give him the workload. They didn't do
Yeah,
it last year. I
he
mean,
was
yeah,
such a
Taylor.
draft value that way.
Right. Yeah, yeah. If you drafted Jonathan Taylor this year, odds are you made it to your championship and maybe won it. Him and
Yep,
Cooper Cup were probably the two biggest
yep,
difference makers.
yep.
So yeah. I was one of the JT skeptics this year, and it really came back to bite me. I had very little ownership of him. So
Me too.
yeah, it's real shame. It's a real shame.
All right, well, let's get into pick number 2. We got Jonathan Taylor off the board. We going running back again?
Yeah. I'll go running back again,
Okay.
and this is where, I mean, it really opens up after one, in my opinion. I can't really disagree with people if they want to go 3 or 4 different ways. It's pretty much between Henry, Cook, Eckler, Mixon,
Mm, mm,
uh,
mm-hmm,
Najee Harris.
mm-hmm.
But
All right.
but I'll take and this might not fly well with some, but I'm going back to the well on Christian McCaffrey.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm doing it.
Holy shit. You're going with Christian McCaffrey off the board number 2. How can anybody in the world trust McCaffrey to ever be healthy again?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, you really can't. It's one of those situations where I think you've really got to say, all right, this is the worst McCaffrey's value is going to be for the next couple of years, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Dalvin Cook had this label as well.
yeah,
Granted, Cook played more games, but just never finished the season. But
yeah.
this is a true buy low opportunity, in my opinion. And McCaffrey is going to get the work. He's going to get that work. We'll see what they say this offseason. I will tend still not to believe it, considering he's such a difference maker when he is on the field. But this guy practically wins you your matchup every week that he plays. So if I can
Right,
get 12 games out of him, and if he finishes the
right.
season, if he misses a few in there, it's a guy that I got to take.
Okay, that is a bold call, in my opinion, with Christian McCaffrey. The history's there. I mean, you got validation for picking the guy. I can't hate on you for doing it. he's amazing when he's healthy, but how many people has he burned last 2 seasons? I
Yeah,
mean, if
yeah,
you have been burned, you're just dying by what you just said. If you haven't
yeah,
had McCaffrey, you can look in that lens, that perspective lens, like, okay, yeah, he's right. He's going to be undervalued for sure. You may not even have to, get him at number two. He might. Well, I guess if your second pick, he's probably not going to end up at 18 or 19 or whatever. So, okay, Christian
yeah.
McCaffrey at
It
number two. Now, by the way, on Christian McCaffrey's contract, is he for sure a Panther next year, or do we have options there?
I actually cannot tell you that off the top of my head right now.
Okay, I think his contract is decent, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, you know
I
what? Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's there. He's there long term. He's there.
He's there long term. Yeah.
2026. He is an unrestricted, but he does have a potential out after this next season.
Ooh, well, there's more incentive to draft him if he's
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
for. Yeah. Okay. All right. I like it. I like it. So moving on to number three, I would imagine first 4, 5, 6 picks are RBs. Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. So RB number three off the board is
I got to go with Derrick Henry here on this one.
okay. Yeah. You have to, right? You just have to.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. He got got hurt this year, so it hurt a lot of guys. But
Yeah.
I was one of the I was a Derrick Henry detractor this offseason. I was saying, you know, you look at these 2K rushers, they haven't done it twice because the workload's caught up to them. And some people say, getting hurt is an arbitrary thing, but the analytics on this one, the stats, given that workload, no one's been able to keep up with it. And people's argument was, Derrick Henry's a different breed, and it sure looked that way. It sure looked that way through
Yeah.
how many games it was or whatever. But and he was, he was completely destroying everyone who said don't draft Derrick Henry. He was embarrassing us, which is
Yes.
yeah, I'll take that. But the workload persisted and he got hurt. So you can't take a full. I'm not gonna tout that as a huge victory on my end. I think that's a little uh, you know, not a good faith kind of argument to make. But
Yeah.
yeah, he proved me wrong, and now he's catching passes. He caught more passes last
Yeah.
year.
Love seeing
So
that.
yeah,
That's what you're looking for in these full PPR leagues, which probably brings us to number four. I know you're going to say it in the top 10. We haven't got there yet, but one of my newfound favorite players, at least, for the last 2 years, where I've really been turned on to this guy. Don't know if you're going to say it next, but who you got for number four?
Okay. Yeah, number four. I gotta go. I gotta go with Joe Mixon.
Okay, Joe Mixon. Not who I had on my brain. I had Joe Mixon on 2 out of my 3 teams this year, though, and I absolutely love Joe Mixon. Um, Lucky for us, he had a ton of help this year with Joey B coming back looking like a superstar, and Jamar Chase pulls a lot of highlights away from the Bengals each and every week, but I think Joe Mixon's arguably their strongest weapon.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, yeah. I've liked Joe Mixon. Like I don't know. I just kind of have
He had the
you know,
injury bug, floating the cloud over his head there for a while too.
yeah, right on. But yeah, I think he's definitely a top 10 back in the league. And this Bengals offense is just so rich with fantasy potential. That this pie of this offense is so big.
Yeah.
There's so much juice to squeeze out of this thing. And the Bengals are going to address the offensive line in this next draft. It was horrible, the year before, and this year, they patched it up a little bit
Mm-hmm.
with Carmen there in the second round. That actually helped a lot. At least just replacing the biggest liabilities helped them out. But if they can at least get this thing to average, they're going to make a ton of red zone trips. And as long as Zach Taylor stays the head coach, which I think they will.
I think yes, they will after going to the
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
right. So yeah, he likes to run the ball a little more than most. So
Yep. And Joe
I
Mixon
think
is not in a true timeshare. Yes, P. Ryan comes in on third downs for mostly blocking, and he gets those dump offs on occasion, but Joe Mixon is their guy.
Right. Yep.
And you know, there are not that many teams where that's true anymore.
Right. Right on.
All right. Well, I love that pick. And I still got my guy though. I still got my guy I'm shooting for next season. Uh, supposing I'm in the right draft order, but who you got for number 5?
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm wondering who this guy is. I have like could be one of 3 guys in my mind, but
Okay, okay.
um the next one up for me is Austin Eckler.
That's my guy.
There he is. All right. I
What
like
a
it.
stud.
Yeah.
What an absolute stud, especially for PPR, right? The
Hmm.
guy is proclaimed around the NFL. Everybody knows it. Pound for pound, the strongest dude in the NFL, pound for pound. Um, I have never drafted Austin Eckler to this day. I was going to this last season, just didn't fall. Chips didn't fall where they should have for me. Still didn't draft him. Um, I, I actually had the opportunity in the league to draft. I had the 5th round pick. I could have scooped up Eckler. My dumbass went Zeke because I'm an idiot. And I thought it was the Cowboys' year. I thought Zeke was. I watched Hard Knocks. That's what got me. That's what got me.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
looked
yeah. I heard he
Zeke
was
in
looking
Hard
great.
Knocks, man. He looked
Yeah.
fit. He looked fitter than ever. He was a highlight of the show. Him and Dak had all that chemistry. They were buying each other birthday presents, and like it's almost like that Stafford and Cooper Cup thing where they have breakfast every morning. You heard about that all season. I felt like Dak
Yep.
and Zeke had that going on, and yeah, I went Zeke over Eckler, but against my better judgment, Austin Eckler's an absolute stud.
Yeah, yeah, he's crazy, man. There was a little concerns about like goal line carries with Eckler in the offseason. That did scare me away a little bit, as well, the injuries as well. But I was in on Zeke too. I believe I had Zeke one spot ahead of Eckler in my running back ranks last year. So I fell for the
Yeah.
same thing. I thought that contract, you know, Zeke's contract is going to keep him on the field. So, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's unfortunate, man. That's one slot will really change your season.
It will. It will. It was devastating with Zeke putting up with that all season.
Yeah.
I still never traded him away. He never had, enough top top value to trade off. He never had that game where I'm like, all right, uh, it's time to go. He never had it all. And there's
Yeah.
Pollard looking like an MVP. It just did not work out. But Eckler's who we're talking about. Another guy. I think so far every guy on this list again does catch some considerable amount of passes for an RB and is not in a timeshare with another RB. All right, that's still part of this trend. There's a couple other Chargers who get the ball on occasion, but Austin Eckler's 80% of the show.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. Pretty much as Mixon. This
Mm-hmm.
offense is going to make a lot of trips to the red zone. Justin Herbert.
Love
I'm
him.
still Herbert over Burrow, by the way, for
I
as
love
far as
Herbert.
quarterback ranks go. Yeah, Herbert's insane.
He
They got
is.
to keep building that line too, but pretty much the same thing, as that Joe Mixon argument. It's
My favorite game of the season was Chargers Raiders. That
oh yeah.
was that a Thursday night game, I think. It was either Thursday or
Let's
Monday
see.
night. It was a
Yeah,
weekday
Monday
night
night.
game. Monday night.
Yeah.
That was my favorite game of the season. That was
Yeah, that
absolutely insane.
yeah, it's phenomenal. The especially the stakes that were on it. Everyone's going into it with that tie in the back of their mind. Everyone's pulling for the
Yes.
tie, the chaos. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm totally with you. That's some of the most fun I've ever had watching football in a long time.
Yes. Yes. And to see the Chargers come short of the playoffs was pretty devastating because Herbert can get it done. And they've
Yeah,
got a good defense too.
yeah, yeah. I think they got a really bright future there.
They do. They do. Lots to come from the young quarterbacks in this league. I just can't wait to see the future of Burrow, of Herbert, obviously Mahomes, um, and I'm leaving somebody out that I'm real excited for. Um, Who am I missing there? There's four of them. Four
You say
guys.
Josh Allen?
Josh Allen. Those four. Those
Yeah.
four guys. They're electric.
Yeah. The AFC is going to be just a bloodbath to get out of these next number of years.
Yes, and the AFC needed this. This is good. All right.
Yeah, right.
We're on pick number 6. We've got 5 of, I'm in agreement. Maybe not as much with McCaffrey as you are. You made a lot of good points with the top 5 picks so far. Who we got number 6?
All right, number 6. I'm a little split on this one versus another guy, but I got to give it to Dalvin Cook.
Okay,
Just
I love it.
the same thing with the
Same thing.
he's always going to be given that opportunity in Minnesota, unless Kenny and Wangu or whatever. I just highly doubt anything's going to be really a question about his workload. Obviously, the injuries are always kind of the thing with Dalvin Cook, but he's still decently young. He's 26, and the Vikes are going to have. I think they'll have a good offense. They they've got so many weapons. They'll make their share of trips to the red zone as well. I don't think they'll be top 5, but they have so much potential. I wish they'd that
So
O
much
line always
potential.
needs work, but Kirk Cousins is a guy. If you give him time, he'll make the right throws most of the time.
Is he? Are we having Kirk Cousins next year on the Vikes? Is that a thing? Is that a sure thing?
Yeah, it's a question that
Because
I think a lot.
we've had a coaching change, yeah.
Right. Yep. I believe Harbaugh will be getting this job. It looks like he's going to bring in Vic Fangio on defense and Pep Hamilton for the
Okay.
offensive coordinator. So I think those are actually pretty strong hires. I especially like Vic Fangio for the defense.
Love Vic Fangio for defense, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's perfect for like a coordinator. I don't think he's a head coach. I think he's a coordinator.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, just
You're
like
right.
Zimmer. Zimmer is a coordinator, not a head coach.
Yeah, I almost feel the same way about Josh McDaniels, even though he's going to be the Raiders head coach now.
Yeah,
He's such a great offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had that short stint in Denver, and was that with Tebow?
That was in Denver.
Yeah.
Was that with Tebow? I want to say yeah. Didn't work out. Well, it did work out for like one season.
Yeah. So who knows it? If he brings in a relatively a strong system, which I think he's a good OC. Whether or not he's a good manager is another thing. That's basically the biggest thing. My friend Noah Powers always tells me is, man, your head coach just has to be a good manager. He's just got to be good with people, and your team has to like him and has to be motivated to play for you.
Yeah, and I don't think Dallas has that in McCarthy, by the way. I again, referencing Hard Knocks, I keep doing it, but I watched it and I loved it. But one thing I saw in Hard Knocks is that, granted McCarthy's new to Dallas, it didn't really seem like the players respected him very much. It's like, I don't think that they really rally around their coach, their head coach, which is a huge problem in my eyes. I was really wanting Sean Payton for the Cowboys.
Oh yeah,
doesn't look like that's really going to happen, but I think they're going to give McCarthy another shot. But I don't think the players respect him that much.
Yeah. I didn't know that. That's the benefit of watching Hard Knocks. But yeah, I was gonna say, those rumors of McCarthy back in Green Bay, they say be up in his office getting massages. Who knows the truth about that? But yeah, McCarthy, he just doesn't do it for me. He's he's just kind of a bozo in my mind. He's not. I just the dude. Success does not exactly follow the dude.
Yeah, and there's not a good track record for coaches winning Super Bowls on one team and going to another team and winning a Super Bowl. I think no one's done it. I think I heard that. I think there's no coach that has won a Super Bowl with one team and then gone to another team and won a Super Bowl again.
Yeah, I can't think of any that come to my mind immediately.
As far as going from head coach to head coach, anyway.
Right. Yeah, I think the game has just kind of passed McCarthy by. The West Coast offense worked well for him back in 2010, but times have changed.
Yeah. But enough about the Cowboys. We were talking about Dalvin Cook, and that's a guy that I've been heavy on for years. His Yeah, I was the only time I was real skeptical about drafting him was the season right after the ACL tear. Um, and I am skeptical about ACL tears in general, drafting that player the very next year. That's typically one of my standard rules is if you have an ACL tear or Achilles, which some of these guys are just proving us wrong now, but if you've had an Achilles tear or an ACL tear, that's one of my principles in the redraft, not drafting you, just not doing it. That's the only time I've shied away from Dalvin. Other than that, after I saw him that next year, again, he made me change my mind a little bit about my principles. But that's a guy I'm drafting top five. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no arguments there. Definitely. I mean, when he plays, he's Dalvin Cook is a top 5 running back in the league for sure.
yeah, he's great. Okay, number 7.
All right, I'm actually, I'm changing who I was thinking of when I said I was split on these guys because he just kind of popped into my mind and I realized I was forgetting him. But number 7 will be Cam Akers for me.
Cam Akers.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep. You know, McVay
run
is
heavy
a
team.
yeah. They typically like to feature a guy. We saw that with Gurley. This is going to be so long as everything stays put there. You're going to be, a top 10 at the very least offense. And that
Yeah,
that O line does. I would like to see them keep adding reinforcements there, but it's done a decent job. So the amount of opportunity Cam Akers has, mixed with the talent, mixed with the power of that offense, he's firmly in the top 10 for me.
yeah, I love that. That guy's super talented. He's super quick. He's there. There's another example of he was Achilles, right? His injury last year
Right,
was
right.
Achilles, or was that this year? Was that preseason? When did that happen? I'm blanking
Yeah,
on.
it was just during the summer. I believe it was sometime around July. I mean, it's one of the most remarkable injury recoveries we've ever seen.
Yeah, what the hell? He's
Yeah,
young. He's young, which has a
right.
little to do with it. But yeah, the fact that he's back playing in the playoffs, I think he got hurt again yesterday, but so we'll see what that is. But remarkable comeback. He's looked great. Cam Akers, and
Yeah,
on the Rams, they're a run heavy team. They always have been. Um, Stafford loves that, by the way. And they're going to feature the hell out of Cam Akers. He catches passes. Um, he belongs on the list. I agree.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Got to respect how quick he came back. He's a hardworking guy.
Yeah, got to be. Okay. Um, we'll see some of him in a couple weeks, hopefully. Who you got at number 8?
All right, 8. I'm still sticking with the running backs. Uh,
Woo, let's go.
yeah, I'm holding off on these wide receivers. You know, I'm a I'm more of a hero RB guy. I like to go with that running back first, and then
Me
you
too.
know pepper the roster with wide receivers. And this
Yep.
was this was a year where I believe it was like the second worst year for running backs since in the past like 8 years or so. So
Right.
I'm continuing the trend of buying low on this market in a way. Wide receivers are going to be drafted more highly than they were last year. So if you can snag those running backs at their values, these guys that I'm listing here in the 5, 6, 7, 8, they're probably going to go a little bit later. I have a feeling Cooper Kupp will be drafted before then, depending on where Adams goes.
Mm-hmm.
Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson will probably be taken at the turn in some of these drafts. So there's going to be
Yeah.
plenty of demand for these wide receivers, and if you can hold back, I'm not exactly sure what each round kind of has in store at this time. We'll see as things continue, where the values are in each round. But I'm still bullish on these running backs, and running backs are the biggest difference makers in fantasy football, and that's the rule that I live by.
They're also the hardest player to acquire off a waiver wire on any given week. So their value is just higher than the other positions. It's less diluted. Um, it's highly important. So is tight end, by the way, in today's landscape. But
Oh yeah.
we are we going to get a tight end on the top 10? I don't know. Let's start with 8, and then we'll see.
All right. Yeah, I doubt we'll get a tight end.
Okay.
as the
I've never drafted a tight end in the first round. I've I've been tempted a couple times. I think I got Kittle in the third round this last year. But
wow.
yeah, it's hard to take a tight end that in the first round when you got all these RBs.
Right, right. Yeah. So yeah, at this point, this is the point where I'm going to switch it up and take Cooper Cup.
Okay. Well, how can you argue that?
Yeah, so long as he's the guy in LA. I mean, he was the guy even when Robert Woods was still on the field. So
Oh
he's
yeah,
got
Bobby Woods just transformed into nothing after Stafford came along.
yeah, it was crazy. You know, Cooper Cup and Woods were being drafted relatively around the same spots because they had
Yep.
pretty much been finished side by side these past few years. So, you know, if you pick the right guy, you were handsomely rewarded with Cooper Cup this year.
For sure. For sure. He's a no-brainer pick for the first round. Give me a guy that's got double-digit targets not even double-digit targets. He's got double-digit catches every week. But yeah, he's got double-digit targets every week. If you can guarantee me double-digit targets or even crazier double-digit catches every week, plug him in. Yeah, I'm drafting that guy.
Totally. Totally.
We got two spots left. I'm super curious who's going to go next. I'm rattling my brain for if you're going to pick another RB for 9 because there's another guy or two out there that might be worth it. Where are you going to go?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's it's
Go
starting to
ahead.
get packed down here.
I
You know,
know.
the number of guys that have good arguments is pretty big. You know, it's 5 or 6 guys. But for number 9, I gotta go with Jamar Chase. I gotta go with Jamar Chase here.
Yeah. We get to see pick number 8. We get to see pick number 7, number 8, and number 9 on Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah. So much talent in this game. It's gonna be great. The skill
Jamar
positions are loaded.
Chase. Oh, did you see that picture that came out probably last night? I think I saw it today, where it was Joe Burrow right after the LSU championship game, and his offensive lineman has him up on his shoulder, carrying him like this. I can't remember that guy's name, but then it was the same. They duplicated the same picture last night because he's on the Bengals.
Oh,
Obviously,
that's
Jamar
great.
was on that team. Um, he walked into this year with chemistry with the quarterback. Obviously, was huge. Do you think that's going to affect how people draft new players if they've got a young quarterback and they were on the same team in college?
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure it'll definitely affect some for sure. I would say it's always a great thing to have. I mean, the chemistry, is pretty much there already. Guys' tendencies, and you have a good rapport already. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely no negative to having that, unless they hate each other for some reason. But that's nah. There's basically nothing to worry about there. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it definitely helped Jamar having Joe Burrow this year. How much is I can't really say, but yeah, the shower narrative is alive.
What's the shower narrative?
It's when two guys play at the same school, and generally when they practice, and then after practice you take a shower, the
Yeah.
shower narrative. So
Okay.
it's that was popularized by Adam Levitan of Establish the Run.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Adam's great. Yeah, the shower narrative. We know each other well. Proof's
Right
in the
on.
pudding though this year with Jamar Chase um, and Burrow. So if you've got a young first or second year, was that the same way with Tua and Waddle? Were they on the same team in college or no?
Yeah, yep,
They were. So there's two examples.
right.
How great was
Yeah,
Jalen Waddle? He's not being highlighted because the Dolphins kind of suck, but he had an incredible year.
right. Yeah, yeah. Waddle really popped. He has a very bright future. Granted, there was no one really around in that offense to really compete with targets. But I still have a feeling they'll add another weapon somewhere in the draft this year. But Waddle's that dude. He's legit, and I don't really, those concerns about the lack of target competition don't I don't buy them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so okay, so you're the GM of the Dolphins. Are you firing Flores?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you that I haven't looked into that whole situation a lot about what kind of went wrong there. I thought Flores was solid. I guess I prefer a more of an offensive minded guy, but
I do
yeah,
for head coach too.
I probably wouldn't have. I prefer the
Well, it was our first winning season in a real long time, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah. They finished strong. I kind of I kind of didn't get it at the time. It did certainly surprise me. Yeah.
it surprised me too. I didn't really get it either, and I don't think he's landed anywhere yet either, which is also somewhat surprising. See, I agree with you on the offensive and defensive mind aspect of Flores, but he did seem like a guy that the players respected. And again, going back to McCarthy, I feel like that's a huge downfall for a head coach is not being respected by your players. I I was under the impression that the players love Flores, so I don't get the whole move. Even though I don't even know why we're talking about the Dolphins right now as making the quarterback receiver college to pro comparison.
Oh
But
no.
anyway, I don't get it. I don't get it. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's got to be something that we don't know about it.
yeah, somebody didn't like him, right?
Right.
All right, we're on our final spot of round one for next year. Love our list so far. I agree with it wholeheartedly. Who do we got for number 10?
Yeah. So this is very hard. Uh, you know, no disrespect to these guys I'm leaving off. There's a handful of guys I'd like to.
Tons.
Yeah. Um, so it's between a few. I like in this situation, I just have to go with Alvin Kamara at 10. Just barely over
Ooh. Aren't the Saints self-destructing? No coach, no quarterback. You're going Camara?
right.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Christian McCaffrey proved that scenario wrong a couple times, if I'm not mistaken, where they didn't have much of a quarterback. And Ron Rivera's been he's an okay coach in my opinion, but uh, just a bad team featuring their running back a whole lot, especially a guy that catches passes, which he did not do much of this last year, catch passes.
Yeah. Yeah. If Taysom Hill's still the guy, that it is concerning for sure. But yeah, similarly to like a DeAndre Swift, not on a great team, but the
Yep.
usage was there. So that's what propelled him. Swift was very close.
Yeah,
I
great
had
comp
Swift.
with Swift. I'm bullish on Swift, even though the Lions are terrible. That's exactly the feeling I had. Is like Swift and possibly the scenario you're talking about with Camara next year, being on a quote unquote bad team, but just having no one else to go to, and when you're playing from behind, having to throw the ball and dump it off to this guy that's got talent that can catch and can do something after the ball. You may not get a whole lot of touchdowns out of the guy, but if the team's bad enough, but the volume will definitely be there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Volume is king in fantasy football, they say. That's the first thing you
That's
look
right.
for, as well as talent. Talent matters. Talent matters a lot to me as well. That's why I had to go with Kamara there. I still think he's really up there as a running back in the league.
For sure.
But yeah, honorable mentions though. Najee Harris, the workload is there for sure. The
Uh-huh.
Pittsburgh offense, I just have no faith. If it's Rudolph, it's going to be bad. If it's a rookie, it'll probably be bad for at least the first half of
Yep.
the season.
Yep.
DeAndre Swift, I like Swift a lot too. I may be having Swift too low on this list. I mean, you can make an argument for Swift over Dalvin Cook, to be honest, who I had at 6.
Mm.
So yeah, there's the ceilings with some of these guys is pretty high. So, it'll come down to, a few things. Jared Goff, I think, will play another year. I don't think the Lions take a quarterback in this draft. I think they ride with Goff one more year and
I
pick
agree.
next year's class is so much better as far as QBs. So long as the
I
Lions,
agree.
yeah, I like it. I
I
like how the
agree.
Lions are rebuilding.
The Lions, yeah, they've got some work to do. They've got a couple of really good young receivers too. I thought Khalif Raymond looked great. I thought Amon St. Brown is the better of the St. Brown brothers. Um, yeah, they put the right pieces together. Of course, their defense is still not very good, so that
Right.
may be where they need to focus on the. But on the Pittsburgh side, with Najee, surely they're not going to make surely Mason Rudolph's not going to be the guy. Surely they're going to draft a QB now that Ben's gone, and I think that's a whole way better situation for Najee than, God forbid, Mason Rudolph come in and try to run the show.
Yeah. Yeah, man, get this guy a quarterback. The Steelers are an example of why you need to have that quarterback in the pipes, like Jordan Love or other QBs. But you know, it's not a bad time to go in the tank, except the Steelers really pride themselves on being competitive every year and having winning records. Tomlin has never had a losing season, so it's great.
But
It's
I
a
believe Tomlin's a question mark too, though, right?
really uh,
Uh-huh.
retirement concerns or changing teams.
I think he's ready to leave.
Wow, yeah, I don't blame him honestly.
I don't either. He's
Yeah,
put up with a lot over the
yeah,
years.
yeah, definitely. I maybe we'll. I know they're somewhat in the running for Aaron Rodgers, so maybe that may play a part. But yeah, I mean, Tomlin's definitely one of my favorite coaches. He's awesome. He's definitely a guy the players love playing for him.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Yeah,
You're a Packers guy. Aaron Rodgers lands on the Steelers next year. Where does that change your Najee ranking?
yeah, yeah. If Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh,
You got to put him above Kamara. You got to possibly put him in front of Akers at that point.
yeah, yes,
I would put him in front of Akers. Um, Probably not in front of Dalvin.
yeah. It's
I'm gonna really have to rethink this whole Christian McCaffrey thing. That really blew my mind.
yeah. I know that one's definitely not going to be popular.
No, it's
There'll
not. But you're
definitely,
you're a whole lot smarter than I am though with this stuff. So I'm really glad we had this conversation because you're absolutely right about that value. I think that he's not going to go first round in a lot of leagues. So I think if you're 1 through 10, you've got a shot to pick him up. Honestly,
yeah, yeah. I wonder where he will go. I would bet
I
probably
wonder where
back
his
half.
ADP is going to be in August.
Right.
I guess
Yeah.
it's the narrative that these experts draw up is probably where he's going to be, but I didn't have him in the top 10. I'm going to be honest with you. He was not even in my mind because of all these injuries. But I think that you are making a good point to put him there. But
Thank you.
having said that, in the crazy hypothetical world, Rodgers makes it over to Pittsburgh, I'd probably put him in front of McCaffrey on my list
Yeah, yeah. It would certainly be a
because the dude
huge boost.
Najee's a beast.
Yeah, I mean, for a while he was, I believe he was the RB 2 or 3 in fantasy at one point this year. Because
There was that one game where he had like what over 20 targets or something like it was
oh
crazy.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and part of that is Big Ben's arm was shot, so
I know.
it works well for him with Rodgers. I have I have a couple of just minor concerns. Is that Rodgers has typically played a little slow paced on offense. I'm not sure if this is LaFleur or Rodgers, but the pace of play has been a little slow, and the Steelers have a strong defense. I think Aaron Rodgers could really, like, he's basically Alex Smith on steroids. Rodgers is
Yeah,
the greatest game manager of all time. Basically, doesn't throw
right.
picks. So
Right.
I could see them really playing the slow paced offense. And then you do have the other weapons, but yeah, Pittsburgh would be, so long as they address that offensive line, that'll be another big part. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
you can definitely bet on Pittsburgh being a top 10 offense with Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and Pat Fryermuth.
The Moose.
Yeah, what a great pickup in the second round.
Love that guy. He's a beast too. Yeah, the
Right.
Steelers have potential for sure if they can get a nice QB. I mean, hell, if they can get Rodgers, that would be something for the Steelers. I never like really seeing the Steelers win, but I like watching some of their players. I'm a big Deontay Johnson fan too. I've drafted him a couple years in a row. Ben loved him, so he got the volume. I think he's talented too. So, man, what a great list. We are nearing our time though. We've gone a little long here. Been a great podcast, man. I appreciate having you on. I want to wrap up by you letting everybody know. I mean, you got a lot going on with graduating college. Once that's behind you, where what's your mission? What are you going to accomplish after that?
Yeah, that's you've caught me at a time of transition, really. Just exiting my last job, and I have a lot on my mind of what's next. I haven't actually decided truly. I'm gonna keep the football analysis coming for an indefinite amount of time. We'll just kind of see where that goes. But otherwise, I've considered a few routes, and I've considered trying to start my own business somewhere in whatever field. Really, it's pretty vague, and it might sound a little optimistic for a guy who has a journalism degree, but I think I think there's definitely ways to do it. I've considered personal training as a route. I've considered just sticking in the journalism field and going into a communications job, and that might be the first thing that happens. Just got to get my feet under me as far as the finances go. But overall, I can't really give you a definitive answer as a guy just exiting school. So sorry, I don't have a whole lot for you.
That's okay. I know you've got a lot on your plate as it is. You got a lot on your mind with this next stage of your life. I think you're doing a great job in uh, your fantasy football content, especially there on TikTok. I would encourage you to be more consistent with that. I think there's a lot of people that once you catch on a little bit more, are really going to be enjoying your content like I do. I think it's entertaining. I think that you do a great job. I think you should lean into that. Obviously, football is something you're passionate about, so it really probably doesn't seem like work to you, and I think that's important when it comes to entertainment content creation, that you are enjoying it, because the viewer can tell, right? The viewer, and the more authentic you are, like you said before, you think we're embellishing some things. If that's who you are, if that entertains, if you think that's entertaining and other people think that's entertaining, lean into it. If you're insulting people, there's always going to be somebody insulted by what you say. Just be you, man. Just be you. Don't worry about those people that you think you're insulting. They're going to be insulted anyways.
Well, yeah, thanks, Drew. I appreciate that. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to try to. I think Skip Bayless is where it is like the obvious
Okay,
example where it's
okay. You're not
this.
anywhere on
Yeah,
Skip Bayless's offensive
yeah,
level. That's
right.
we're not there. We're not there.
Yeah, I like if it's bad, I want people to like be able to tell over time. I think they'll get it as they kind of understand more of like maybe my sense of humor. Like there's some things where
Yeah.
they you should be able to tell. Like I made a video maybe a month or two ago, but it was like this hot take video where it was like Tom Brady's not top five, like OJ was innocent. Like I really hope that people think that was some people definitely like were like,
It's
oh dude, you're
content,
so
it's
wrong.
entertainment. No, lean into that stuff. I love that stuff, man. And people love that stuff too. So I think you got the right head on your shoulders for that type of content. And I think you just need to lean into it more. And So everyone else agrees that's going to be watching this. They're going to go look you up. Where can they find you?
Right. Okay. Yeah. On TikTok, you can find me on TikTok at Fantasy Formula. Twitter at JP underscore Earley, Earley. Those are my main two places of content. I have no
Perfect.
Instagram for fantasy, or I'm not like a Twitch guy, or I don't really know about those other forms, but yeah, those are the two main places.
Perfect. Lean into those before you expand into others. But TikTok, I think, is where people should look you up first. Um, I did not thoroughly go through your Twitter, so I'm sure it's great too. But for entertainment value, hit JP up on TikTok. If you're a football fan, if you're a fantasy football fan, he's great. Now that I've pressed his button, he's going to be putting out content every day, especially up until the Super Bowl with some nice Super Bowl takes. And
Absolutely.
I will try to get this episode out a little earlier than I usually do since we have football coming to a close, and this is a great football conversation. So JP, I appreciate having you on. I've got another appointment, a real work appointment here coming up, so I've got to hop off of here and get to that. But appreciate meeting you, brother, and for the first time. And I think we'll be friends now and in the future. And hit me up if you need anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jordan. I was honored that you thought I was interesting enough to come on an interview. So that really made me brighten up. So thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man.
Love it, bro. All right, we'll talk to you later.